Now, a warm welcome to Mary O'Donnell, who's looking gorgeous as usual. How are you, Mary?
I'm wonderful, absolutely fantastic.
It sounds a bit weird, but I suppose we should wish you a Happy New Year. Because
Happy New Year, because I've been saying Happy New Year since I got into the building.
I know, because we haven't seen you since December, even though January's nearly over.
Yes.
Thank God. Now, you come laden down with loads of lovely products, which no doubt you'll tell us about later. But at the outset, we're going to talk a bit about rosacea this month, because it's a condition that I know affects a lot of people here in Kerry. You might start by telling us, what is it?
Right, so I suppose that it is the number one asked question I get from here, and has been for as long as I've been doing beauty. It is my number one. People, male, female, it just seems, and I think it's an Irish condition, but it seems to be a really Kerry condition. So it is an inflammatory condition of the skin, and it is when the skin flushes, and it can go from just that kind of redness in the skin to where you can get like spots and pustules, and for people who have it, it's an absolute nightmare. So, like, going back to, say, when I was in primary, an awful lot of people get into the beauty world because they have something wrong with their skin. And, like, even, like, going back all those years where there was no Google, it was, like, trial and error of trying to see what would suit your skin to do it. So I remember being in primary, and someone would do something, and they would say, like, who did it? And my face would be the reddest in the class. So I always look guilty.
Even if you didn't do it?
Well, yeah. But most of the time, because I was quite. I probably didn't do it, but I always looked like
you look guilty.
I looked straight away, because the flushing of the skin was so much. And for anybody who has rosacea, they hate it. It's just a horrible, horrible feeling. More so than the actual look of it, the feeling of that heat within the skin, and knowing that the people can see how red you are. It's just awful. And then, like, I would have so many messages from men saying, like, at least women can cover it with makeup. I can't. And when I get a bad bout of it, it's just impossible to do. So over the years, I suppose this is my one area of skin that I'm so interested in, because I have it, and that so many people ask me for advice on it. And for me, one of the best things I ever did was starting to take a diary of what were my triggers. So there are triggers. So this time of year is a huge trigger for people, because, like, we've had our cold, that the frost. People have gone out and said, my skin's actually burning in it, and it's so uncomfortable. And you go into work and you're going into heated areas, and it's really to figure out, what are my triggers and what are my solutions for it. And that's kind of really what
what you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So I presume there's no absolute 100% cure for starters.
Yeah. So, like, for me, like, the triggers for people can be varied. And I suppose I'll talk about my triggers. This time of year is always a huge trigger for me. When it gets cold, pre-Christmas, January, by February, I'm fine again. And then on top of that, because you're going out more, say, at Christmas time, if I go out and I'm by a fire, forget it. If I drink a glass of red wine, forget it. And like I said, you'll be out and you think, okay, you're going out. I couldn't go out. I'm so uncomfortable. I just have to go home. So the makeup, no matter how, and I am be fairly okay doing the makeup now. It comes through the makeup and goes down the neck area. So it would be like nearly like a menopausal the whole time, but you've had it since you were 11 or 12. And that it's just a horrid condition to have when you don't know how to cope with it.
Okay. So you're advising kind of keeping a diary to see what your triggers are.
And then you can kind of know, like, hey, if you're out and there's a fire someplace, stay away from the fire. Don't have the red wine. For some people, it's spicy food. Some people, it's medication. A lot of people, it can be skincare. It can be like, it could be a retinol, or it could be a certain shampoo or conditioner. And it's trial and error that you figure out. And I'm fairly good at now keeping mine under control. But there's, like, when it was frost, you have no control over the frost, you know. So, and then the big thing is definitely wearing your SPF, like 365 days a year. And for somebody who has rosacea, I would say that my advice would be, use 2 SPFs every day. Use your normal SPF and use one with a tint in it, because then you're getting double protection from your skin. And that has really worked for me since I started doing that. That was kind of a game changer. But definitely keeping the diary, and I know what to avoid and, you know, how to control it. And then using the correct skincare is huge.
Do you only get the red flushes on your face and neck, or can it be elsewhere in your body?
Yeah, it's mostly on the face and neck. And then when it gets really bad, people get really bad. It's like an acne type of skin, and people get confused with it. You can get the pustules with the green coming out of them, and when it gets quite infected, it can be very sore. It can take ages to go back down again. And I remember, like, when I would say I was maybe 12 or 13, I looked like Kermit the Frog for a good portion of my life, because the green creams that were out, that you'd put under your makeup, to diffuse the redness. I was Kermit the Frog for a lot of
So
stage.
it was a choice of being either red or green.
Yes.
Oh dear God! Oh, you poor thing.
So I came across products recently that I have found. Oh my God, these have been my lifesaver, and it's a kind of a new product, and there's loads on the market, and sometimes it's trial and error to find what products suit you. But these babies really do suit me. So these are called Rosacea. So it's easy to remember because the rosy cheeks, and they have two different types. So they have like your normal light cream, and they have an intensive cream. Now, a lot of people who don't have rosacea have the redness in their skin, and they don't like the colour, and when they're doing their makeup, they're trying to cover it, and sometimes covering it too much you can layer on the makeup too much, and it can look funny. So really, it's like getting your skin tone right, and then makeup will go on much better. So the Rosacea Light can be used by anybody who has a redness in their skin, and they're just trying to, just to help your skin out.
And that's a moisturiser, is it?
There are two moisturisers. One's intense, and one is your kind of normal daytime.
And men can use that as well.
And men can use this as well. So in the light one, it has like your vitamin C. You have your SPF of 30 on it, and you have niacinamide. So it can be for anybody who's trying to diffuse a little bit of redness, or if it's this time of year and you break out, I would say try the light first and then go from there. And when the weather got really frosty, I went on to the intense because I really needed something stronger, and more than anything, just to get the feeling of that burning sensation out of my skin. And long term, then it definitely is the laser is the way to go. You can laser the skin. It is like they diffuse the two little your little blood vessels, and you then afterwards you still have to keep on your SPF, and they can come back slightly, but there's treatments for it. But start with the creams first, and try to have as much work done with the creams before you start your laser.
Okay, so the laser is really the second option.
Yeah.
And is the laser successful?
Yeah, very successful, and it does now. It doesn't go without pain. It is quite painful, and it can, like after you have your treatment done, you can bruise quite, on the area, because especially it's usually around this area around the nose, and that's like, for people, it is usually this kind of area here, and it is like you can see some people will get maybe a little spots on the forehead or on the chin area, but around the nose area, and then that's a very sensitive area when you're doing laser, because it's pinging on it.
Yeah. So we've spoken about the moisturisers and the laser, but I presume, and obviously men can do those as well. For women though, who do want to kind of cover it up with makeup, I know, isn't it, IT Cosmetics are very good?
Absolutely. And that's
rosacea skin.
And that's exactly what I was going to talk about. She, her whole story, because we had, when there was launched first in CHR, we had that whole story. She was a newsreader, and she, like, that was her whole problem, was trying to cover it before she went on television. And when she tried everything on the market, and that's how she went off and got her own formula, because she said, I can't be the only woman in the world who has this redness, and when you put on makeup, it comes out through the makeup, and that heated feeling. And then she had the lights from the cameras and everything, which was going to double down on it. And they told her, when she went to promote it, they told her that nobody'd buy because nobody was interested in it. And like now it's one of the most successful beauty companies in the world. So they were so wrong. Women do suffer from it. And when she started on QVC, there's a part of QVC when we start talking, if there isn't sales, if there is sales, the word you've used that got the sales, they'll tell you, say that word again. And if you don't sell out, you're never asked back again to QVC. It's something on those lines anyway. But she decided anyway she was going to show people how bad her rosacea was, and she took all her makeup off on television and then started putting on the IT Cosmetics over to show it. And it sure went through the roof. They couldn't stock it. It went, so many women wanted to get her look of not looking like the redness.
Okay, so it is, would you recommend, and I know you've tried so many different products, but would you recommend the IT Cosmetics, we'll say, foundation as the best for someone with rosacea?
Yeah, because it was designed for somebody, well, that was exactly what it was done, and people use it who don't have rosacea, but it was designed to cover without making your skin look like it's clumpy.
Yeah. And would you then, so you'd typically now, let's say you're somebody with rosacea putting on their face for the day. talk us through the steps.
Right. So, like in the morning time now, and this is like from years and trials and tribulations, I try to keep my skincare simple, which is a bit mad when I'm always trialing and testing things. But I'll do a cleanse in the morning, and I will always do a very gentle toner to remove the traces of cleanser, and then I will use a serum. And now you can get serums that will work for rosacea. I leave my serum on for 5 minutes. I've been using the Rosacea, the intense one of it, because this is a bad patch for me. I'll use the light on other times. The light is really good for it has your niacinamide and vitamin C in it, so it's lovely and easy in the day. That is wonderful for you can put your makeup on straight away after that. I use the It Cosmetics foundation. I will use just on the T-zone a little bit of loose powder, and it stays on all day for me.
And you're good to go.
And I'm good to go.
I'm just looking at you across the table here, as I do every month for the last 10 years or plus.
More.
And I've never, I mean, only that you've told me you have rosacea, I would never know. I have other friends and people I know well who have it, and I can always tell they have it or when they've a flare-up. I've never noticed it with you.
Okay.
So you obviously know what you're doing with this makeup.
Yeah, and there has been times where it hasn't worked for me. Do you know, there has been times where, and I suppose like for me, and I have always been talking about retinol is a game changer when it comes to skincare for people for fine lines, and for me, retinol is like can be one of my triggers. It's just like I have to be gentle. I'm a real softie, and most people who have rosacea, that is a problem. Is skincare can affect them as well.
Yeah, and just in terms of like rosacea, you mentioned there that men say, well, at least the women can cover it with makeup. Is there anything the men can do? Because men have it as well.
Yeah, so like I was actually just before I came here, I was talking to somebody with rosacea and who's starting having laser done, and I had said, you know, like to kind of minimise the amount of laser that you have done, we'll start on a good skincare routine. And the difference that the skincare has made. So it's the same with guys, is like get into that good routine where you are using specific products for your skin condition, and then afterwards you can go on to have a couple of lasers done, and then SPF. So there's simple steps to manage it. But the diary is definitely the first step.
I'm not being smart now when I ask you this question, but you know the way you traditionally you would see a man. Now maybe a woman as well, but more so a man who's a very heavy drinker and a big drinker over the years with the very red face.
Bulbous.
Yeah, is that kind of connected to the rosacea? Could the heavy alcohol be a trigger in those cases?
Alcohol is a huge trigger for people, and it brings all the kind of to the surface. And they say there's little mites with rosacea that are kind of tipping away around the skin that you need to kind of really get those out of the skin, because it's a real inflammatory condition in the skin. So anything like alcohol is going to just drive it crazy. Yeah. And there can be certain drinks that you can have. Spicy foods are a massive trigger for people because the heat from there flares it up. And the amount of people who've said to me that they've just gone home because they feel miserable, which is awful.
Leaving a night out
because you feel so uncomfortable in your own skin.
Exactly. Well, Mary, we better take a break, but I'd imagine we actually do have a lot of questions, some rosacea related and some not. So we'll go through those after the break, and we'll also talk about some of these lovely new products you've brought in. And of course, you'll be able to see all of this on our video on Facebook a little bit later. For now, though, we'll take a break. Welcome back. Mary O'Donnell is with us, and we're talking beauty and skincare. A couple of questions for you, Mary, before we move on to our newbies, as you like to call them. Retired lady texts in, and she wants to know, would you recommend a good mascara to the value of about €20 or less?
Oh, the new Rimmel one, I have it on today, is like great price point, but the brush of it is so it's the latest from Rimmel. The brush is really unique, isn't it? It can get the little hairs, so if you want to kind of really define the eyes without looking like you have spiders, it's the new Rimmel. The new Rimmel. And actually the some of the Lancome ones, the really nice ones, they are still available in little gift sets from CH, and they're only maybe 22, 23. So maybe that lady might get lucky there, because there's some of them left over. And they have the eye makeup remover with them that I'm always talking about as well.
Yeah, which is a great eye makeup remover. A listener gets in touch. This is nice, and says, I'd like to thank Mary for the red carpet facial treatment at CHRC at the Bonds Tralee. She said a number of people have complimented her on her glowing skin skin. And she'd like to particularly thank you for your advice and assistance during the treatment.
Thank you.
Is that a thing, a red carpet facial?
It's new, yes, it's very new.
good.
Started only since the start of January. I'm a great believer in, I love lasers. I love lasers for skin. I think they're the way to go when it comes to skincare. But what I don't like about them is the downtime. So afterwards you can't really go out anywhere. But we've got a new laser, which is the red carpet treatment, where you can do the laser and you don't have any downtime.
And you don't have to live like a hermit.
Yeah, so it's 20 minutes of a laser and you have this almighty glow the next day.
We've a 44-year-old lady who never used creams on her face. She says, I've heard about day and night creams, serums, eye creams and retinol. And what about the Derma Stamp and Derma Rollers? What would Mary suggest I use? I'm totally confused, she says.
Right.
A newcomer to skincare.
I would say, and especially since 24, it seems to be, the whole thing with skincare is keep it simple. The Derma Rollers are... See, the derma rollers are very like they're little needles that go into your skin, and what they do is they create little pockets. So the whole idea of a lot of kind of skincare treatments is that when you create trauma to the skin, so you fall and you cut your knee, so all the collagen and elastin come to the surface because our bodies are a great way of healing. So they bring all these new collagen and elastin to the cut to make it all better again. So they've used that when it comes to skincare. So the little needles create a trauma within the skin. Collagen and elastin come to the area and your skin looks much better. So that's the kind of theory behind it. I like when you're doing things like that to be somewhere in a clinic where everything is sterile. I would have all the rollers at home and I'd never use them at home. I much prefer to have them in some place sterile.
Okay.
And I would go keep it simple. Do your cleansing, do a good serum, do a moisturiser. If you're new to skin, keep your steps nice and simple.
Okay. Lady in her 70s is looking for a suitable treatment for red hands. She says this is a condition she's had for quite a while. Her hands are red.
Okay, so I would imagine you can do a laser on your hands. You can for redness or for any kind of whatever, like the brown spots are probably the most common of the age spots, but you can also do it. But I would say maybe start with something like one of the skincares first, and try the Rosacea Intense on the hands at night time, and try to get as much redness out of the skin first before you have your procedure.
Rosacea. Yeah, actually a lot of people have phoned and texted in asking if you could repeat the name of the cream you recommended for rosacea. So the cream is Rosacea.
Yeah, as in I think for rosy skin.
Yeah, and the cosmetics, the makeup and that is IT Cosmetics.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Listener says, what SPF with a tint would Mary recommend for rosacea? And this is someone who says she suffers very little overall. She's a touch of it.
Right, like I would go with any of the the really good skincare out there, and I'd even like anything with a very mild tint, with the Roche-Posay's and all those who are kind of known for their good skincares. And then if you were going into a clinic, go for one of the cosmeceutical brands, which would be stronger again. And what I have found, and I don't know why, because we tend to use so much of when it comes to moisturisers, serums, and when it comes to SPFs, I don't know why we don't use as much. So having an amount of your SPF normal and then the tinted one together really will work for you. And even if your rosacea is only mild, that will be the game changer.
Anyway. Mary, before we run out of time, I know you've brought in some new products for us that are just launched on the market. Pick out a couple there that you think
Perfect.
We all need to know about.
Right. Okay, I love, and I know, and I don't work for Dermalogica, but I do love their products, and when they bring out a newbie, it's usually very good. So I love the idea of this. This is your Pro Collagen Banking Serum. So this is getting your serum, your collagen up, but it's banking and keeping it in your skin.
Keeping it in the bank.
Keeping it in the bank. So this is the Pro Collagen Serum. I've been using that since the start of January and gets really high marks, 10 out of 10 for me. Amazing. Another one of the brands that I'm always talking about as well is Shiseido, and this is their this is absolutely gorgeous. This is their nighttime radiance concentrate, but this is really for helping to define the skin. So it's like helping on the jawline, the cheeks, and now I will say if you're using this, it is a little bit on the more expensive side, as most of their products are. You need very, very little of this, and like 1 pump of this does face and neck.
Shiseido.
Yes.
Took me about 10 years to learn how to say that. Shiseido.
Yes.
And that is
the oldest cosmeceutical company in the world.
Absolutely. Japanese, isn't it?
Yeah, Japanese.
Yeah.
Well done.
What else have you got?
Okay, we had Lorraine Keane on before Christmas, and this is their new berry bronze. It smells divine, and it's their new bronzing foam. So for people who want kind of a new something that's quick and easy to put on, this is very good.
And what is it for?
It's your tanning.
Oh yeah, I've actually tried the Lorraine Keane tan, and I must say I love it.
Yeah,
and
I love it too.
It doesn't have that awful smell of fake tan off it.
The smells of berries, so it's really nice.
Well, the one she gave us to try before Christmas was kind of a coconut smell, which is lovely
as well. And this one is just a foam. Sometimes it's easier to get a foam will go on quicker if you're in a rush going somewhere, because we're all just so busy. Rimmel have brought out a new hydrating. It's up to 35 hours wear. I don't know where you want to have your foundation on for 35 hours, but who knows?
Never know. All night party.
Yeah. So that's the Rimmel one of this.
So that's for somebody who kind of needs to look as good at 5 o'clock in the evening as they do at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. And it's a new formulation with it. And Rimmel for 35 hours is
Rimmel 35 hours.
Yeah. Foundation. Yeah. So for the person who's going day and night. As well for the rosacea, like I had been saying, that anybody who tries one and wants to try something different, because it is trial and error, and that Real Life Ireland have a very good one as well for redness, as do Bioderma. So that there's a great kind of selection of things out there, and these two that I have adored this. So this is the ones I have been starting since January. This is Clarins, and it is a serum, and it is your mask, and this is your Hydra Essential. So this was really for this time of year when weather is colder and we need some more hydration in our skin. Beautiful serum and a beautiful mask that you can put on, and that's it.
Great. Mary, before we go, a lovely comment in from Anne, and I think you'll appreciate this. Anne says she always uses IT Cosmetics now because it's super for rosacea. She said it's the only cream and makeup that she ever uses now, and she first heard about it on Radio Kerry ages ago. So it must have been from you. So that's great news. So it really does work, and sure, Mary herself told us that. We got to let you go, Mary, but thank you for bringing us all the latest beauty news and skincare news, and for all that great information about rosacea as well for the many sufferers out there. And we'll chat to you next month.